You know how sometimes you just stumble onto something online that completely stops you in your tracks? Something so weird, so massive, you don't even know what you're looking at? Well, that's exactly what we're talking about today. We're diving into a document that's part mystery, part masterpiece, and a total digital rabbit hole.
Okay, it all kicks off with this number right here, 733. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. 733. That is longer than most epic novels, right? But 733 what? What are we even talking about? Well, it's 733 times pages. Pages in a single, mysterious PDF that someone found online. And it's just called Family Cooking. But here's the thing, when you open it, you realize pretty quickly it is not just about recipes. No, it's an entire life just laid out for anyone to see. And that's the big question, isn't it? What is this thing? Because at first glance, it looks like a cookbook. But then you start reading, and it feels like a diary, or maybe a travel journal, or even a resume. And then there's all this spiritual stuff mixed in. It's just everything all at once. All right, let's really get into this. So first up, the mystery of this 733-page document. And really, the first thing you need to get your head around is just the beautiful, wonderful chaos of it all. I mean, it completely breaks any box you try to put it in. So you open it up and you think, okay, I'll check the table of contents. And right away, that's your first clue that this is not your average cookbook. It's a wild ride. You're just bouncing from recipes to these deeply personal tributes, to philosophical thoughts, to life events, with zero warning. It's totally unpredictable. And just look at this. This is a perfect example of the strange juxtapositions you find. The whole structure is a puzzle. So on page 67, you're learning how to make Hungarian goulash. Cool. Then you flip forward to page 241 and suddenly you're reading this touching tribute, R.I.P. Christian de la Igla. Then, bam, page 321, a memoir entry about a Kundalini snake experience. And right after that, a recipe for tofu skewers. And then, why not, let's throw in his resume from 2013. It's just a life totally unfiltered, totally unedited. All right, so moving on to section 2, recipes laced with memory. Because as you spend more time with this thing, as you dig deeper, you start to see a pattern. You realize the food isn't really just about the food. It's a language. It's a way of mapping out a whole life. Yeah, you start to see that every single recipe is like a key that unlocks a specific memory, a person, or a place from his past. They're like these little anchors in time, grounding this huge, sprawling story in something real you can almost taste and smell. And check this out. He writes, I remember the first time I had one. I was only around 8 years old, yet I still can remember how incredible it tasted. He's talking about guacamole taquitos on Olvera Street. And see, it's not about the recipe, not really. It's about that feeling of being a kid and tasting something so good it literally sticks with you forever.
And then, immediately after sharing that amazing memory, what does he do? He gives you the ingredients, the avocados, the red onion, the jalapeno. It's all right there. It's almost like he's inviting you in, saying, here, you can taste this memory for yourself. And this same pattern just repeats itself over and over for hundreds of dishes. You've got his dad's spare ribs, and with it comes a story about his dad, a French cheese casserole, and boom, you're right there with him in Paris. Food and life are they're completely woven together here.
But here's the thing, it's not just a life lived in the kitchen, not even close. So now we get to the traveler's spiritual quest. You see, the recipes are more like mile markers on this unbelievable journey across the globe, a journey for meaning that took him decades and spanned entire continents. I mean, the timeline of his life is just, wow, it's breathtaking. So we start in the summer of '71. He's in Ecuador, he's surfing, and he discovers what he calls the best ceviche we ever had. A few months later, he's traveling overland to India and has this profound spiritual initiation. By '72, he's hitchhiking across Kenya and Zambia, and somehow, he even ends up on national television there. And then in the '80s, he's at the Monroe Institute exploring consciousness and out-of-body experiences. It's just a life of constant, relentless searching. Okay, so this brings us back to the big question. What is this thing? Is it just a messy scrapbook, a random data dump of one guy's life? Well, it turns out the author himself tells us what it's all about, and the answer is pretty incredible. So, the thread tying it all together. See, buried deep in the document, he lays out his mission. He didn't just see this as his story. He saw it as a project for everyone. He was asking friends and family to send in their stories, their favorite recipes, their memories of home-cooked meals. He wanted to build this collection of creative expressions to show, in his words, our true nature.
And then you get to this one line, and it is the key to the whole thing. He writes, "I'm trying to share there's a thread of love tying us all together." And you see that, right? A thread of love? It's a typo. He obviously meant a thread of love. But that one little mistake, it just reveals everything. This huge, chaotic, amazing document, it isn't random at all. It's a tapestry, held together by that one thread of love, woven through food and memories and connection.
And there it is. That's the answer to the whole puzzle. This document isn't a cookbook. It's not a memoir. It's something else entirely. It's a life understood through the one thing that connects every single one of us, the meals we share.
So, what's your recipe? Because when you get right down to it, this whole 733-page journey isn't just about one man's life. It's kind of like a mirror. It makes you stop and think about your own life in a whole new way. What this author's project really is an invitation. It's an invitation for all of us to see our own lives as a collection of recipes. Think about it for a second. The moments of connection we've had, preserved through food. What are they for you? Is it your grandma's cookies? The weird instant noodles you lived on in college? That one amazing dinner you had on vacation? Those aren't just meals, they're moments. And really, that's the final question this whole thing leaves you with. If you were to write your life as a cookbook, what would the recipes be? What are those meals, those moments, those ingredients that have made you, well, you?